Welcome to Stock Designs, and in this video I want to show you how I created this t-shirt design using GIMP. But before we begin, I would like to ask that you like, share, comment, and most of all subscribe and turn on post notifications so you're notified every time I post. And then without further ado, let's get into today's video. So first off, I want you to start off by going to File and say Open New, and then click in 1080 by 1080 as the dimensions of the page. And then I want you to say Control Alt O to open image as layers, or just go into the File tab and click Open Image as Layers, and then click your images, whether it's multiple or whether it's one. Click the images that you're going to use as the base images to make the designs. But before we begin, I want us to start off by changing the background color to black. To do that, you have to make a new layer by going into the bottom right corner and selecting the page document that has a plus on it to make a new layer, and then Shift B to select your bucket tool, or just go into the toolbox and click the one that looks like a house with a chimney. That is the bucket tool, and then just use the bucket tool to splash the black color on the new layer. And then what I want to do is try out the various selection tools to decide which one I'm going to use, but I'm going to end up using the free select, because using the free select I'll be able to clearly select the contours, and I'll have a free hand on what to choose on what I want to be in the image and what I want to not be in the image. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click along the edges of the image so that I can select the inside of the image. Don't worry about about the pixels and which pixels you don't get into the image. Just as long as you're by the corner of the image. We're going to use some other functions to wrap the selection around the image a bit more. So I'm just going to fast forward through this. So as I do this, I want you to do the same, and then yeah. Now, once you're done selecting the corners of the image, what I want you to press is Shift Q to enable the quick mask. And what the quick mask does is it highlights the edges of the image so that we'll be able to use our paintbrush to paint over the parts that we want in the image and not paint over the parts that we don't want in the image, and vice versa. So to paint over it, you need to select your paintbrush, and then it's either you can choose the color black or the color white. The color white removes the red and the color black adds the red. And adding the red is deselecting, removing the red is selecting that part of the image. And now when you're done, I want you to press Shift Q to disable the quick mask. And then what I want you to do is to press Control I to invert the image so that you select the white and not the so that you are selecting the white, the outside of the image, and not the phone, the inside of the image. And then to tighten up the selection on the image, I want you to go to the select tab, and then you're going to see a prompt named grow or shrink, depending on if you're selecting the white or you're selecting the phone. It's either you're going to use grow. If you're selecting the phone, you're going to use grow, and then that is going to grow the selection by as many bits as you select there. It's either you select 1, 2, 3, or you can even go until 100 to grow by. So that's what I want you to do to make the selection a little tighter. And then once you're done doing that, I want you to go into your, but now this image that I just made visible is the image that we're actually going to use for the design. But since this one has a white background and the image is a little more optimized and the resolution is higher, we're going to be able to use the fuzzy select tool. So what I want you to do is select the image, and then using the fuzzy select tool, it's either you can select it in the toolbox or you can just press U, and that is gonna give you the fuzzy select tool, and then just go over the white part and then click and drag, and then you can enable the threshold by going into the fuzzy select dialog box and then clicking on draw mask, and then that's going to give you a color on the draw mask. So you're going to be able to see, choosing a color, which areas you have selected or not. But I just like to use the simple selection trace. So trace over that, and scrolling up or down, it's either you make the selection more tight or more loose. So after you are happy with what you have selected, just go into the layers dialog box and right click on the layer you have selected, add alpha channel, invert, and click delete. So now we'll be showing you how to create the overall design. And we're in the middle of the video. Just make sure that you comment, tell me what you think of the video so far. But anyway, let's get to it. So now what I want you to do is select the design of the silhouette using the selection tool. And then what I want you to do is grab your select by color tool, and then click on the inside of the silhouette, create a new layer, and using the bucket splash tool, I want you to take the black and splash it into the new layer, and then switch off the layer that the original layer of the silhouette, and then you're just gonna get the splash of the silhouette image. And then what I'm going to do now is I just want to give a little depth to the image. So I'm just going to use a bunch of random filters and a bunch of random colors so that I can give a little depth to the image. And now take the image of the silhouette, the one that you splashed, and then just shrink it using the scaling tool. You can select the scaling tool by pressing Shift and S, and then scale it so that it will be able to fit into the phone. The screen part of the phone, of course. And then I want you to create a new layer. After creating the new layer, take your rectangle tool and create a rectangle. So that we'll be able to get a rough fitting of the middle of the screen on the phone. Then I just want you to rotate it so that we'll be able to at least get the rotation. But I don't think this is going to work, because to at least use it, I was going to have to use the perspective tool, or I was going to have to warp it a bit. But I do have an easier method to remove the writing on the screen instead of just putting a rectangle over it. But designing is more or less about trying different techniques. Even if it's not a technique, even if it's just something that you think might work, try that. So you have to try a bunch of different things to just get one result, because there's a lot of ways you can get the same result. So just keep on trying. Every time you get an idea, try to do that idea in different ways. Even if that way is not working, try another. Vice versa. And I'm telling you, one day you're gonna get it. So now I'm just working on fitting the square properly. But I don't think it's going to fit, because it would need me to use it as a perspective. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to duplicate the phone image. I'm going to switch off the other image of the phone, and I'll click Shift R, or you can just select the rotate tool, and I'm going to rotate it till it's upright. And now I'm going to use the rectangle, and in the rectangle select to create a rectangle. And what I'm going to do, in the rectangle select dialog box, I'm just going to click on rounded corners, so it can have rounded corners like a phone usually is. And now I'm going to select the bucket splash fill, create a new layer, and fill in that layer. And now to remove the image on the screen of the phone, what I just suggest you do is put a rectangle over the screen, and then using your eraser tool, just erase on the edges until it looks like the black screen is in the middle of the image. Even if you don't have to use black specifically, you can use a multitude of other colors, but I would just prefer to use white and not black, so that we'll be able to see the silhouette image. Now I want you to take the silhouette image, shrink it, and make sure you select the silhouette image that you filled in using the bucket splash tool, and not the image of it, so that it doesn't have a background color. And now just take the image of the silhouette and put it in the middle of the phone. You don't have to use the align tool to make sure it's in the middle, just eyeball it. And since we're going to use a threshold image, it doesn't really matter if we don't clean up how the screen is looking. Now create a new layer. And I just want to lighten how the screen looks so that I'm able to see the image more clearly. Now I want you to turn off all the other images, and then I want you to right click on the image in the layers dialog box, and then I want you to say new from visible. Click new from visible so it creates a new image based on what you can see on the screen, and then enable the black background or the white one, it's up to you. And using the new visible image, what I want to do is go into the colors tab. I want to go to the saturation to give more saturation to the image. So what I want you to do is go into the colors tab and use the options there to make the image a little bit darker. I used the brightness contrast, I used exposure, and I used saturation to make the image a bit darker. And then I want you to duplicate the visible copy. Go into the colors tab again, and then I want you to go hit desaturate to make the image dark. And then I want you to duplicate the image again. To duplicate the image again, colors tab. Oh no, before duplicating the image, I want you to ensure that the dark parts of the to make sure that the dark parts are darker instead of just gray. So use the contrast to make it a bit darker so that we can clearly see the shadows. And then I want you to duplicate that copy and switch off all other visible copies. After that, go into the colors tab, and with your duplicated copy, hit threshold, and using the threshold, just eyeball a range that is about where you can see more of the phone, so you can clearly see that it is a phone. Don't make it too dark and don't make it too light. And what I want you to do with that threshold copy, I want you to click on the mode and click dissolve, and I want you to go onto the copy under it and duplicate that one and move it on top of the image. And then I want you to go into the mode, select linear burn. Duplicate the threshold image and scroll down and look for one that is going to make it a bit darker but still more visible. select hard light, switch it on and off to see the difference. Lower the opacity a bit so you can still have it a bit dark, so that when we add the color we can clearly see the areas that are colored in and the areas that are not. What I want you to do is add a new layer, and then using Alt I want you to click on the image and then go into the edit tabs, select stroke selection, and make sure that the color in your color box is black so that we can make a black stroke around it. Don't make the stroke selection too high because it will make the stroke too big. So I suggest you at least make it around 1, 2 or 3. That should be a good stroke range. Right here I used 3 as the line width. Create a new layer, select the visible copy, or you don't have to create a new layer, just select the visible copy and then choose a color that you would like. Then go into the bucket splash tool, choose the color that you like. Using Alt, just click on the image so you can select the borders of it and splash. Using the bucket splash tool, scroll down and look for vivid light. That right there is the one. And now select the whole image and then just crop it. And that's how I created the graphic for this t-shirt.
For the time that it take, I'm finna make some.